Is it true that Messi won the Ballon d'Or because he uses SR4U laces? I mean, this question answers itself. Welcome back to another SR4U Q A, your football boot related questions and my answers to them, all pulled from my Instagram, which you see on screen right now. It is SR4U_Josh. So if you have a question that you'd like me to potentially answer in a future episode, make sure you go and follow me there if you don't already. The link is in the description. And of course, if you guys enjoy the Q&A series on the channel and want to see it continue, don't forget to support this one with a like. Why doesn't Nike use carbon fiber anymore? There's a bunch of different reasons as to why I think Nike might not be using carbon fiber anymore, but ultimately there's one main reason why, and that is the fact that carbon fiber is far more expensive of a material to implement on a product that raises their cost, and they're always trying to lower their cost as much as possible. And I think that they've concluded that there are other technologies like knitted uppers that people value far more than carbon fiber sole plates. And this is something that Nike has really been brilliant about. And the football boot industry as a whole has evolved away from leather football boots. And I think part of that has been that people do want something a little bit more high tech, maybe a little bit more sleek, but also synthetic materials, especially knitted uppers, are far less expensive to manufacture, and the material cost itself is far lower than a natural leather material that just requires a lot more preparation, and it's not as easy to come by. It's just more expensive for them to produce a leather boot than it is a synthetic boot or a knitted boot. Yes, they're spending a lot of money in development of technologies and the machines to make some of these knitted uppers, sure, but at the end of the day, it's far more profitable for them to make boots out of plastics and textiles rather than leathers and carbon fibers. Can you even say carbon fibers? I don't know. Jorginho dos Santos, when are we going to hear an update about the football boots you were helping develop? I'm very restricted in terms of what I can tell you guys about this particular project because it is a secret at this point in time, but I can tell you that significant progress is being made. And I guess let me know down below in the comments. If enough of you guys want to see something, I can talk to some of the partners that are involved in this project, and maybe I can show you something pretty soon. Can you start a Q&A for your second channel? That's actually something that I plan on doing very soon. And for those that don't know, I started a second channel about cars. It's called Car Problems. It involves my cars. It involves new cars. It involves car modifications, pretty much anything car related. So if that's something that interests you, I'm going to leave a little pop-up on screen to my latest video. Go ahead and check it out. Leave some feedback. And if you like what you see and want to see more, be sure to hit that subscribe button. I would appreciate it greatly. What's your favorite brand? This is a really tricky question for me to answer. And for those of you guys that watch the Boot Nerds podcast, the latest episode, J Mike and I actually discuss who we think the brand of the year was. As far as what my personal favorite brand is, I get this question a lot, and I think a lot of people would probably guess Nike or Mizuno or something like that. I think I've been called an Adidas hater more than probably any other brand. And that's just because I think Adidas, especially over the last, let's say 4 or 5 years, they've put out a lot of great products, but they've also put out a lot of gimmicky stuff. And the gimmicky stuff is something that I'm not such a huge fan of. And that's not to say that all the other companies are free of gimmicks, because Nike has had a ton of gimmicky boots over the years. But what I will say about Nike, and I think what has really drawn me to that brand over the years and the appeal of Nike in general, is that when they do something new and interesting, there is typically a compelling reason as to why this technology exists, and it sparks a lot of curiosity. So I think that out of all the new boots that come out, if I was just a regular consumer, which I'm totally not anymore, I would be more interested in trying more Nike products than I would probably any other brand. That's not to say that Mizuno doesn't make great products, because across the board, their stuff is really solid. Adidas makes great stuff. Puma has some really solid boots right now as well. But if I had to pick like one brand to keep me satisfied throughout my entire footballing career, honestly, I'd probably end up picking Nike. And I know there's going to be people out there saying that I'm totally biased for saying that, but I'm not being biased. I'm just being honest. And that's kind of what I've always tried to do on this channel. If I like something, I tell you I like it. If I don't like something, I tell you I don't like it. If this comment gets 2.5 likes, Joshua Kimmich has to speak French in a video. No. Best rubber striking element of all time. I really like this question because the rubber striking elements really was the one thing about power boots that totally intrigued me. I wanted to try every single one just to see how the different elements would feel when striking the ball, because they legitimately all had their own unique sensation when making contact with the ball, whether it was the feel of the contact or even the amount of added grip that you would get depending on what part of the foot you were using. And I guess I'll start with a couple of honorable mentions that are all really good as far as striking elements go, and then name the one that I think was the most unique and probably the most effective as well. Obviously, Predator Mania has to be on the list. I think that striking element was fantastic. And you could name a number of different Predator models, but I think that one was really good. Also, Predator Instinct, and I guess you can throw the LZ models in there as well, in terms of boots providing extra grip on the ball when striking the ball, and even just making contact with it in general, dribbling, passing, controlling the ball. There was just so much extra grip on that boot, and it was very unique for that reason. Nike T90 Laser Series in general. I think Laser 1 was a really interesting striking element. Laser 2 was also really interesting, but I think the most effective one of all time, I should also say Mizuno Wave Ignitus 1 and 2. That was a cool striking element as well. But Nike T90 Laser 3, the Ninja Turtle looking boots in the green, black, and red. That was the launch colorway anyways. That was a boot that had the most wild striking element ever. It had these large pods, I think there was 5 in total, to give you this really flat kind of perfect surface when striking the ball. And when you hit it right there, just right, it really came off your foot extremely well. And then it had these softer rubber fins down the side that just provided a ton of extra grip when going to curl the ball. It was one of those boots that had such an extreme and aggressive striking element that it actually took some time to get used to playing in the boots. Dribbling in them, I remember the first time I got them, was kind of a little bit weird because you had so much grip on the inside and then a lot less grip on the outside, depending on if you went for the leather or the synthetic variation. But when it came to just striking the ball, I don't think there's anything quite like a T90 Laser 3. Hey Johan, I don't like my laces on my current boots. Do you know where I can get replacements? It's a really good question, and I'm trying to think of this one site I was on once. SR4 somethinglaces.com. What if Adidas and Nike collaborated with each other on a boot? I guess first off, there is a 0% chance of this happening. Yes, we do see big brands collabing with each other, but they're typically brands that are not in the same market or aren't necessarily competing against each other. And in the case of Nike and Adidas, they're the two biggest sportswear brands. Whether you're talking about apparel or footwear, they are direct competitors and they're not going to be collaborating with each other anytime soon. I can guarantee that. As far as what I would like to see if a hypothetical Nike Adidas collaboration were to happen, I would love to see some kind of a hybrid of like a T90 Laser and an Adidas Predator. I think that would be maybe pretty cool. And the two brands have had some interesting technologies over the years that you could only get within the one brand. So maybe taking some of those technologies and putting them on a boot. Like I'd love to see maybe a Flyknit variation with high tenacity yarns of the X19.1. I think that would be really cool because I think Nike's knitted tech is definitely a little bit ahead of what Adidas is doing with their knitted and mesh-based synthetic uppers. So maybe something like that would be interesting. I mean, the possibilities are pretty much endless, and I'd be curious to hear what combination of Nike and Adidas products you guys would like to see. But as far as that happening, it's not going to happen. Do you think that if Adidas had a constant stream of old Predators, it would sell better than the new stuff? Truthfully, I don't think so, and I think it comes down to who the vast majority of football boot consumers are. Yes, there are plenty of boot nerds out there that are 25 years old and up that remember wearing these older style Predators, be it an Accelerator or a Mania, when they were kids, and they'd love to have something like that again. That's where these Predator Mania remakes that we just got kind of come into play. But are there that many kids that are 18 years old or younger interested in that Predator Mania remake? I really don't think so. And I think that that's what these brands are definitely targeting with the modern football boot industry and the products that they're putting out, is that younger demographic. And that's mainly because they just buy more boots. It makes sense from a business standpoint to do that. If you think about the amount of kids that play the sport versus the amount of adults that play the sports, I don't know what the number is, but I'm sure that there are probably 10 to 20 to 30 times more kids playing than there are adults, which means that they're going to sell a lot more boots to that particular demographic. So I think you have to make something that appeals to them, and kids are definitely more attracted to something that is brand new, more high tech, maybe a little bit more sleek looking. And as great as I think some of these Predator remakes are, it's just not what kids want. What I do think would be a really good idea, and I have pitched this on the internet a couple different times on a couple different YouTube channels, is that I think that Adidas should do something with the Predator series like what Nike has done with the Nike Premier. We're now in the Nike Premier 2, and it's kind of like an older style Tiempo, an older style leather boot, but with some modern touches to it and available at a lower price point. I think if Adidas were to do kind of an older style leather boot with some old school kind of rubber striking elements from the Predator series, some modern touches as well, and have it at a lower price point, kind of just this alternate option aside from their mainline products at about 100 to 130 US dollars full retail, I think that could do really well. It would give them a competitor to the Nike Premier 2, and I think that there would be a lot of people that would be more willing to try that kind of older style of Predator at that price point versus the $350 retail price that they're asking for these limited edition remake boots. What is your favorite number? I may have answered this one before, but it was probably a very long time ago, and I guess I'll say that I've never really been too picky about numbers. Honestly, if I have like free choice of any number, I'll probably pick number 8 just because that's kind of one of the numbers that I wore the most when I was a kid. But when I would join a new team and number 8 was already taken, I wasn't like stressing out about getting a different number that I liked. Honestly, I think through my later days of playing and even now, like I'm happy to take any number, and most of the time when I'm playing, I don't even know what number I'm wearing. It's just something that's not significant to me. I'm not thinking about it when I'm playing, so it's not that important. But again, if I have any choice of number, I'll probably pick number 8. Can't tell you why. What's your most expensive sneaker? My answer to this might surprise people because I have bought a fair amount of football boots above the retail price, but even that is probably like 10 to 15 different pairs that are really old or near impossible to get, and you're kind of forced to pay over retail if you want to have them, and I wanted to have them for my collection. But as far as sneakers go, honestly, the vast majority of the sneakers that I have purchased have been on sale at least to some point. Very rarely do I buy a pair of sneakers at full retail, and as far as the resale market is concerned, I hate it. I don't like paying more than retail for any pair of sneakers. I've only done it once, and it was the first pair of Yeezys that I had that I think I actually made a video of on this particular channel. I paid like maybe like $30 or $40 over just because you kind of had to at that point in time. And I'm happy with them. They're good. But for some of these people that take $200 sneakers and buy them in the resale market for like $1,000, I would honestly be afraid to wear them at that point. It's just not something that I would be able to justify to myself. So as far as the resale market goes with sneakers or football boots, I have to really, really want it. And it also has to be pretty reasonable as far as what the resale price is for me to justify the cost. I really like sneakers, but there are very few sneakers that I like that much. Hola, Senor Jim Jaspers. What modern boots compare to the Mizuno Wave Ignitus 2 or the Nike CTR 360? In the case of the Mizuno Wave Ignitus series, those boots were extremely unique. Even when they were current models, there was really nothing else like them. And as of right now, given how much football boots have kind of slimmed down and become so much thinner, there really isn't anything that comes even close to a Mizuno Wave Ignitus. So I don't even want to make a comparison there. As far as the Nike CTR 360 is concerned, the Maestri 1, 2, and 3, all really good boots. The one boot that really jumps in my head as being the closest thing to that is actually the Nike Tiempo Legend 8 Elite, which I know I've talked about not being my personal favorite Tiempo model. I think it's a little bit lacking in terms of being as special as it could be in terms of the touch that it provides, being that it is a kangaroo leather upper. But in comparison to the Kangolite synthetic that we got on the CTR 360 line, which was great, but boots have definitely progressed over the years in terms of quality of touch, I would say. I think that the current generation Tiempo probably most closely feels like some of those CTR 360 models. Anyways, guys, that's it for another Q&A. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. If you did, be sure to support it with a like. Again, if you have a question that you'd like to ask me for for the next episode. Go and follow me on Instagram. It is SR4U_Josh. That'll be linked down below in the description. If you have any questions regarding anything that was discussed in this Q&A episode, leave your questions down below and I'll do my best to get an answer out to you as soon as I possibly can. If you're not subscribed already, make sure you hit that subscribe button along with the little bell notification so you get notified when the next new video goes live. You can find all my social media information linked down below in the description as well. Other than that, guys, thank you so much for watching and we'll see you in the next one.